If you're in your 20s and in the early phase of your career with multiple financial commitments, retirement is likely the last thing on your mind. But there are many sound financial reasons your 20s are the best time to start planning for retirement. And one way for Singaporeans to do so is via the Supplementary Retirement Scheme, or SRS. So, what's in it for you and how do you make the most of it? The main immediate advantage of putting money in your SRS account is for personal income tax relief. The amount contributed will be automatically counted towards your tax relief. The maximum yearly contribution eligible for tax relief is $15,300 for Singaporeans and permanent residents and $35,700 for foreigners. But if you've just entered the workforce, how much can you contribute and how do you stand to gain?
For a young person, he or she doesn't get to enjoy that much tax relief. The rule of thumb, or a more generic way of comparison, is the more you earn, when you see a bigger difference in terms of the tax savings. But that is of course capped at a maximum SRS contribution of $15,300. So for a young person who just started working, I'm earning $3,500 to $4,000 a month. That's basically the average salary of somebody who is between 25 to maybe 28 years old in Singapore. That might not leave aside that much for to put aside into SRS.
For instance, if your annual income is $48,000, you might consider putting $6,000 into your SRS account, or 12% of your income. You would then pay tax on about $31,000 instead of $37,000 and enjoy tax savings of about $200. But if your annual income is $120,000, you might want to put in the maximum SRS contribution of $15,300. That's 13% of your income. And you could save over $1,700 in taxes.
When you're young, you're not drawing that much income. Yes, they don't enjoy certain tax reliefs that you might enjoy when you're older. But if I'm not drawing that much income, a young person at the foremost of his mind, when he's young, he's just starting out in the first 2 to 5 years, tax relief might not be something that's of a priority. If we look back at that age when we're young, the priority is to buy my BTO. Most Singaporeans, right? And then maybe SRS become just a little nest for him or her to build a disciplined way of savings.
If you make withdrawals from the SRS account before retirement age, 100% of your withdrawal amount will be taxed, and you will also incur a 5% penalty. It's a way to make yourself save more, but it does come at a cost.
You can't touch it once you put it inside. Of course you can, but subject to a penalty which doesn't make sense. First and foremost, I put into SRS account because I want to save on tax, I want to enjoy all these savings. It doesn't make sense for me to withdraw it unless I have no choice. And you could actually avoid the 5% penalty based on certain circumstances. So death and medical grounds subject to the approval of the authorities. So one of the drawbacks is maybe the inflexibility.
And that's why it's important for anyone starting out on their financial journey to have an emergency fund.
A young person might not have planned for unforeseeable circumstances. Or at the onset, or when I have no liabilities, I think I'm relatively healthy, economy is doing well. Hey, I want to contribute the max $15,300. I did it for 3 years. I actually didn't put aside. If this person didn't actually put aside anything for emergency fund, what if retrenchment happened? He can't withdraw this from the SRS without facing the penalty, and he might be facing a situation that he was concentrating so much on, tax relief, putting aside for retirement, and now, hey, I'm retrenched. I don't have much money to tide me over for the next 3 to 6 months. So a rule of thumb is always put aside enough living expenses for at least 3 to 6 months, and then anything excess, we could look at SRS and other investment opportunities and saving opportunities.
There's another drawback. SRS accounts have low interest rates of only 0.05% per annum, which means that your money will be eroded by inflation over time. You must invest the money in SRS-approved instruments to earn better returns.
For SRS investment, there's actually a very wide variety to choose from. What most of us are more familiar with will be in stocks, in shares, in unit trusts, in ETFs, Singapore government bonds. We could even invest it into certain insurance products like single premiums, and these are considered the relatively safer investments. So these are the wide choices that we can invest our SRS money in to beat inflation rate, because it's definitely better than 0.05.
Investment gains made through your SRS are tax-free. Regardless of how much you earn through investments using your SRS funds, you will not be taxed until you decide to withdraw it. However, SRS funds cannot be used to invest in certain types of assets.
There's also quite a variety of investment vehicles that we cannot invest our SRS money into. These are typically, what in layman term we call it the high risk or relatively higher risk products. A very good example is crypto.
And once you reach the retirement age and decide to withdraw your SRS funds, only half the amount you withdraw every year will be subjected to tax. You can also spread your withdrawals to lower your tax charges.
Because it's only for 10 years that I could enjoy tax-free withdrawals. I will only withdraw it when I'm not drawing any more income. Let's assume I withdraw 40,000 in a year for my retirement use, and that year I'm not drawing any income. So out of this 40,000, 50% of it is tax-free, meaning 40,000 minus 20,000, 20,000 is tax-free. I'm left with the balance 20,000, which is subject to tax. However, we know that in Singapore, anything or any amount below 20,000, I do need to pay income tax. So in reality, if I withdraw 40,000 in the first year of withdrawal of my SRS, I'm actually withdrawing this 40,000 without paying any tax.
Ultimately, saving on income tax is the biggest appeal of the SRS. But aside from tax benefits, SRS contributions should be treated as part of long-term retirement planning.
For somebody who's just starting out, there's more things competing for his attention than tax relief. Then in this case, based on his budget, contributing the maximum might not be the best solution at this point in time. He could contribute a little bit that's comfortable within his budget. So he still put this amount into SRS to enjoy, first and foremost, tax relief. Secondly, the fourth disciplined way of savings. And then he could look at, inside the SRS pool of money I have, how could I grow it for my retirement? And the best thing about being young, you have such a long time horizon to retirement.